U.S. Citizenship Test Changes. Read to you by Carol Brigham. Have you applied for U.S. citizenship in the last few months? Are you going to apply for U.S. citizenship soon? There are recent changes in the U.S. citizenship test for most people. After President Trump's inauguration in January 2025, he signed an executive order about immigration. The executive order said that all government agencies needed to protect the U.S. from terrorists. It said that everyone coming to the U.S. needed more background checks. The people who work for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, give the citizenship tests. They decided this order meant the citizenship test needed to be changed. Who can be a U.S. citizen? Once you have been a lawful permanent resident for at least 5 years, you can apply to be a U.S. citizen if you meet these criteria. You must be at least 18 years old. You must have been in the U.S. for at least 30 months of those 5 years. You must have lived at the address on your application for at least 3 months before you apply. You must show you're a good person, have good morals, and are not in any trouble with the law. You must be able to read, write, and speak English. You must show that you know about U.S. history, government, and civics. You must take an oath of allegiance to the United States. If you meet all these requirements, you may be ready to apply for U.S. citizenship. There are some exceptions to these rules if you are married to a U.S. citizen or are a member of the U.S. military. To find out if you are eligible to apply for citizenship, visit www.uscis.gov/citizenship-resource-center/learn-about-citizenship. Click on Naturalization Eligibility Tool in the left column. Applying for citizenship. The application for U.S. citizenship is called the N-400 form. When you are ready to apply for citizenship, you fill out this form. You can fill it out online or on paper. You will have to pay a fee. If you apply online, the fee is $710. If you send in paper forms, the fee is $760. If you do not earn a lot of money, you may be able to pay less. If so, you will need to send in a form asking for the fees to be reduced. In October, the U.S. government changed the way that people pay this fee. Now everyone must pay the fee online at pay.gov. You can use a credit card, debit card, or prepaid card. You can also transfer the money from your bank account to the government. You cannot pay with a check, money order, or cash. It is a good idea to talk to a professional immigration counselor or immigration lawyer for help when you are applying for citizenship. They can help you understand the forms and process better. Taking the test. Once you have applied for citizenship, you will be scheduled for an interview with USCIS. You will talk to an immigration officer. You need to show that you can read, write, and speak English. You also must prove you know about U.S. history and government. At the interview, the immigration officer will ask you questions about your application. Many of the questions come right from your N-400 form. Your answers will show that you can speak and understand English. If you cannot answer the questions, you will not pass the speaking test. For the reading test, you will read a sentence to the immigration officer. The immigration officer must be able to understand what you read. There will be 3 sentences. You only have to read one correctly to pass. For the writing test, the immigration officer will read you 3 sentences. You write down what you hear. You will not lose points for spelling, capitalization, or punctuation if the immigration officer can read what you wrote. You only have to write one of the sentences correctly to pass. If you pass the English test, you will take the civics test. The immigration officer will ask you questions about the U.S., and you answer out loud. The new changes to the citizenship test are in the civics part. Changes to the civics test. People who applied for citizenship before October 20, 2025 will take the old civics test. This list from 2008 has 100 questions to study. You can find the 2008 list of 100 questions at www.uscis.gov/citizenship. The immigration officer will ask you 10 questions from the list. You must answer 6 questions correctly to pass. People who applied for citizenship since October 20, 2025, or who apply for citizenship in the future, will take a new civics test. This test will use the questions USCIS wrote in 2020. There are 128 questions to study. You can find the list of 128 questions on www.uscis.gov/citizenship-resource-study-and-study-civics-test. The immigration officer will ask you 20 questions from the list. You must answer 12 questions correctly to pass. If you pass your English and civics tests, you will attend a naturalization ceremony. At the ceremony, you will take the oath of allegiance and become a U.S. citizen. If you fail any part of the English or civics test, you will need to take that part again. The immigration officer will tell you which part you failed. In 60 to 90 days, you will have a second interview. At the second interview, you will take the part of the test you failed again. If you pass on the second try, you will attend a naturalization ceremony, take the oath, and become a citizen. If you fail the second time, the immigration officer will deny your application. You will need to apply and pay the fee again. Exceptions. There are some exceptions to both the English and the civics tests. If you are 50 years old or older and you have been a legal permanent resident in the U.S. for 20 years, you do not have to take the English test. If you are 55 years old or older and you have been a legal permanent resident in the U.S. for 15 years, you also do not have to take the English test. You will need to bring an interpreter that is fluent in English and your language to the interview. The immigration officer will still ask you questions. The interpreter will take your answers and say them in English to the officer. You will still need to take the civics test, but you may take it in your native language. You will study the same questions. The interviewer will ask you the civics questions. The interpreter will ask you the same questions in your language. You will answer, and the interpreter will give the officer your answers in English. People who are 65 years old or older and have been a lawful permanent resident in the U.S. for 20 years can also take the civics test in their own language. They only have to study 20 civics questions. The 20 questions they have to study are marked on the 2008 and the 2025 list. The immigration officer will ask 10 questions from the appropriate list based off of when the person applied for citizenship. A person must answer 6 questions correctly to pass. There are also exceptions for people with some disabilities. A doctor can fill out a form to help people who need these exceptions. Resources. It is very important to study and practice answering questions before you go to your citizenship interview. There are materials to help you study at www.uscis.gov/citizenship. In the column on the left, click on Study for the Test. Scroll down to the bottom of the page. The study materials are listed there with links to access them. Some of these materials are also in languages other than English. For more information about Easy English News and to subscribe to our digital version or our paper copies, visit our website, easyenglishnews.com. If this video was helpful, remember to like it and subscribe to our page for more. Thank you.